Our 31 comics of Halloween are about to continue, but what category are we covering next? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Married with Comics. I'm your host, Laura. Now, before we get into all the goodies, I have some really exciting things I just have to share with you all. So first and foremost, thank you all so much for your continued support, commenting and liking these videos. We definitely appreciate it. Because of you all, we are definitely getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber giveaway. Now, I did kind of post an ultimate challenge to see if we could get there a little bit sooner. It's okay that we didn't. So it just means I'm going to do a different giveaway for when we reach 1,000 subscribers. It won't be a slab, but it'll still be something you really want. So to qualify for it, just like before, please make sure to continue to like and then comment on multiple videos. The other thing I wanted to thank you all for, because of your extraordinary support, we now have community posts here on YouTube. So that just means it's another avenue for us to kind of communicate with you all. So if there's an upcoming event, or if there's a specific reason that a video has been delayed, give you all kind of a heads up update, and then also use it as a way to poll and get feedback from you all. So we're going to continue to seek your feedback and make sure that we're providing the kind of content that you are wanting to see. Last but not least is this Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be live on the Kraken's Horde. So from 7 to 8 p.m., everything that is sold by Scott and myself, which includes graphic novels, sets, $3 comics, all of those proceeds go to support our channel. As our thank you, for anyone who purchases anything that night, we will give you a free custom-made Married with Comics bookmark. I had to redo that design 3 times. So yes, I am very, very proud of it and hope that I do not have to change the aesthetic. I may update it with time, but for now, at least it's printed and should be something extraordinary to be able to send you all as a big thank you from us. Now this week is going to be a little intense because originally I had this video, which is curses, and I had a video for witches, and I tried combining them into one. And honestly, I tried rewatching the video and it really dragged just because there's so much information to kind of cram into one video. And then I felt like I was not doing any of these books any justice just by trying to fit it all into one video. So I decided we're going to do a couple short, sweet videos, but make sure that we cover our final 31 comics of Halloween. So this week you're going to get a couple extra bonus videos from us, but I wanted to make sure that we finish strong and make sure we get through all of our 31 comics of Halloween. So today we're going to talk about curses. And part of the reason I had to do this particular category is because technically a lot of the curses in these stories are caused by whether it's witches, haunted places, demons, or a person who uses a cursed object to then go after a particular person. When you find out the source of the curse or what's causing these events to take place, it tends to be the twist in the story that then gives away all the spoilers. Now, first and foremost is the silver coin. So the concept behind this is that you have a cursed silver coin and it is traveling through different locations and different time periods across the world, and you're seeing how the evil within the coin can affect different people and what happens when you try and control the power of the silver coin. What's really interesting about this is that each issue is written by a different author. Normally, when you have those kinds of series, I tend to not enjoy them. Not saying it can't be well done. What I'm saying is normally when I try and read some of these, you have like 1 or 2 like standout stories, and then you have some stories that you kind of get through to get to the good stuff. This series, on the other hand, was actually different. Each one of the kind of individual issues stood on their own, added something extra to kind of the history of the silver coin, and I didn't feel like it was so disjointed, that I was really enjoying how that story was progressing. So I have issue number 5, so this is 1 through 4. And issue number 5 is the one that gives the origin of the silver coin. That origin story was amazing, and I loved that they included it, and I like that they actually did it in reverse order. So you see the origin story after you've kind of seen the extent at which this silver coin is capable of some pretty horrible things. But the interesting thing is that they are actually continuing this series into a volume 2. Because of how well it's been done, I'm incredibly excited for it. So I definitely am interested in continuing this series. I probably will wait for the trade for volume 2, but I definitely recommend this. Now, some of you remember from our display video this particular cover, which is Sleepy Hollow. Now, disclaimer of disclaimers, I love The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I have since I was a kid, which may explain some of my love of horror titles. Anyways, I grew up with that original Ichabod Crane and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow musical with Bing Crosby. Loved it. So yes, as we keep getting these other Sleepy Hollow stories, love the Tim Burton version. I tolerate the TV series. There are elements that I like and there are elements that I do not like, but that's okay. For me, anytime I see there's another Legend of Sleepy Hollow story, spin-off, something, I'm always interested. And yes, this is definitely one of my favorite covers. And yes, I did grab the X-Men Headless Horseman cover that just came out recently. Oh yeah, it came home. So this is a Zenescope title, and it is pretty short and sweet. So we are dealing with the Tarrytown University, or Tarrytown University, however you want to pronounce it. And everyone in that town is very familiar of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow and, of course, the Legend of the Headless Horseman. We start our story with a bunch of guys who are trying to get the test answers for an upcoming exam that they're about to fail. So they find the one student who has access to all the questions and can steal it from the professor. They tie him to the railroad and they try and convince him to agree to give them the answers to the test. And at first he refuses, and then finally at the last minute he says, okay, I'll do it, just let me go. Except the train is coming, and they're trying to let the guy loose, and sadly they fail, and he is decapitated by the train. So then the Headless Horseman comes out from his grave and starts to hunt down each one of those boys that was responsible for the death of this student. Now, Zenescope titles. What I love is when they do those extra little twists at the end. Does this have the best twist that I've ever seen in a Zenescope title? No. Is it still fun and enjoyable? Absolutely. So we find out something at the very last second that happens and explains some of the other choices that they've made in this series. And I thought it was an absolute ton of fun. So is this like one of my top 10 picks? No. Do I rank it above the Sleepy Hollow TV series? Yes. Is it above Tim Burton's? No. But that's because Tim Burton is Tim Burton and it's really, really hard to compare anything to that story. So this is just a lot of fun. The lot. Now, this series, I've talked to you all about it because I felt that this one was the series that kind of gets women right. There are so many different times that I genuinely feel like I unconsciously wrote this series because I identify with so many different things that happen in issues 1 through 3. It's my story, and yet it's not my story all at the same time. And I think that that's incredible how universal it is and how it gives other readers a chance to kind of step into someone else's shoes, but then also kind of hide it behind a horror title. I love that. Now, this story is about a cursed movie lot. So we have our main character, Aviva, who has been hired by a company that's pretty much run by men. And in order to save the company money, she decides to take this abandoned lot, reopen it, clean it up, and sell it. Except when she starts to reopen the lot, then they start to discover some things, and bad things start to happen, and they start to wonder, why was the lot closed in the first place? What's the mystery behind it? Issue 1 and 2, I was so impressed. I did the separate video before I even finished the series because I thought it was that good. Having finished the series now, issue 3, again, did a fantastic job of encapsulating exactly what I loved about issue 1 and 2. I think we've all been through the situation that's described in this issue. Then we get to the conclusion of the series. I understand exactly why they concluded it in the way that they did. I probably would write it a little bit differently. And I think part of my issue with the conclusion is just because I probably would have preferred that this be a 5 or 6 issue series. I think MargueriteBennett would have done an even better job if she had more time to really draw out that story and give us time to really build on those characters and take that situation that she's really been building for 3 issues and then have the flip. It's the only issue I have with it, but again, most Bad Idea comics have all been 4 issues. So I understand that she was limited on time. I think she did a great job of kind of concluding the series in the time frame that she had. I just personally would have loved this to continue on for at least another issue or 2. Now, the last one that I have to talk to you all about is called Gray. Now, it says right underneath it, inspired by Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. This one does a flip on its head because Dorian Gray is actually a woman, and it is actually a vigilante story. Now, lines in the sand of, comics and stories that each one of us have. Now, for me, if we're talking about comics or stories, movies that I cannot get into, or they just piss me off, is when you have violence against women or you have rape. If you're going to show those things, you have to give me like the Punisher, vigilante, like we need our comeuppance, and it better be pretty quick and it better be pretty good. If those things don't happen, I won't even read it. I won't watch it. It enrages me to such a core level that it's just not safe. So imagine if I was Dorian Gray and that level of just anger is there, but then put me in a position of power where I could then help millions of women worldwide. And that is the story of Gray. So yes, just like the original Gothic literary classic, she cannot die. We know that there's a portrait involved, thus the curse. But instead, what she does with her abilities and her inability to die is to take on the torch and this problem of inequities against women. So there are a lot of pages, there are a lot of stats, there are a lot of different circumstances that take place in this story that I'm like, hell yes. One of the key things that they talk about are the number of rapes that happen to women and the number of convictions that actually take place. One of the very first scenes in the book is that description that I've given you all, where the guy is talking about how, oh, I just went to the bar and it was perfectly innocent and nothing happened, and suddenly out of nowhere. But then you see the actual, images of what he was really up to, and you find out that he's a total sleazeball. So he's at the bar and he's trying to just find an easy piece to take home with him. And instead of him going after a woman, these 2 women pick him. He takes them home and then they attack. And they humiliate him the same way that he would have done to the woman that he was going to take home and take advantage of. Instead, they are looking to almost an eye for an eye situation. So they are undressing, humiliating, and torturing these men who have done equal or worse to other women. So that part of this story may be hard to stomach because there's plenty of nudity, there's plenty of violence. However, like I've said before, none of it is used as just shock value. Instead, it is making a very specific point within the storyline of this is what these men are doing to women, and now the women are doing it to the men. And that's also why some of it is shocking. There's more about the original curse of Dorian Gray, about the painting, which we've alluded to, and we know obviously that she cannot die, or at least cannot age. We don't have the full story behind that as of the end of Volume 1. I have some ideas, because there is kind of an undercurrent storyline, because you have the detectives who are trying to piece together these disappearances of these high, powerful men who would never be convicted anyways. And then they start to see how Dorian Gray comes into play, and her team of women who are, again, seeking vengeance. So it gets really, really interesting. It is a great story, but I don't know that this is really for everyone. So outside of some of the other curses that we've talked about in other videos, this 31 Comics of Halloween, are there any other curse titles that you recommend? If so, put it down in the comments. Have you read any of the series that I've talked about? Did you like them? Or do you maybe have others that you recommend a bit more? We do have other topics coming soon, and Scott and I will be talking about several of them together. So keep tuning in. We'll have some short and sweet videos coming for you all very soon. Have a great day, everyone.